Hello, health freaks. I'm not a health freak. I'm a science freak. I like science. My name is Russ. And this is Dr. Rios, aka Dr. Zebrafish, and we are in a real science lab, and I want to make a demonstration. I want to make a demonstration today about the effects of sugar in the blood. Okay, we have a lot of vasculature in our blood, don't we, doctor? Okay, some of them are big and pass a lot of blood through them, and some of them are really small and pass small amounts of blood through them. Some of them are so small that they pass one blood cell at a time, one red blood cell at a time, don't they, doctor? Mm-hmm. That's right. She's a real doctor. I'm not. She is. All right, so I'm more interested in these small blood vessels, the ones that don't pass blood through them so easily. We have a lot of them in our body. There are a lot of them in our brain, our eyes, and our appendages, and our muscle tissue and our heart tissue. Right, Doc? Right. All right, so I've got an experiment set up for us today. And we're going to look at the effects of sugar into the blood, oil into the blood, and then our control, which is just going to be water. What I'm going to do is I'm going to mix, I have some pre-mixed blood over here that I made with water and food coloring. We are mostly water, right, Doc? Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep. We're mostly water, so this will be analogous. So I'm going to add these two in, and I'm going to time how quickly they travel through a small, thin little funnel. Now, this is about 1/16 of an inch to 1/8 of an inch diameter here, I'm going to estimate. All right, so I'm going to time it with a standard chronometer here, like so. Okay, so I'm going to take first the control, and I'm going to add water into water. By the way, that was about 150 milliliters of water going into about 200 milliliters of water. That fills it quite high. Should have probably measured that. All right, let's stir it up for humor's sake. Science. I'm going to push the start button now. As you can see, that flows pretty nicely. That flows pretty unimpeded. All right, I can get all that fluid through. Now imagine this is some of your tiny little capillaries in your eyeballs, where blood vessels are very thin and very small amounts of water can get through. Small amounts of nutrients, cells. All right, at 40 seconds, we have poured through about 350 to 400 milliliters of water. All right, I'm going to stop that. Okay, now I'm using olive oil as the fat that gets, as my example of fat. Now, all saturated fats melt at room temperature. Your body is at 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit, so it's safe to assume that there's no solid chunks of fat floating around in your blood. If there is fat in the form of triglycerides or fatty acids, it's liquid. Okay, so there's no fat chunks flowing around, as delicious as that sounds. All right, so I've got about 200 milliliters of olive oil. I'm using olive oil here. Got to stay healthy with the olive oil there. And 200 milliliters of blood. All right, so I'm just going to pour that in. Wow. Well, okay. Stir this up. Now, as we know, water and oil don't mix. So once again, this is humor value there. So let's time this just for fun. I'm going to start the clock now. And just pour that through. Now, oil floats atop water, so this is olive oil passing through the funnel right now. As you can see, it is unimpeded. It is not sticking to the funnel at all. It is moving right through, not as fast as the water. The molecular bonds are a little tighter in there. Longer chains of molecules than water. But, you know, let's just keep doing this for fun. Okay, yeah, definitely not as fast as the water, but it is unimpeded. It is flowing smoothly. It smells really good. It smells like a salad. So for sake of timeliness, let's move on. You get the point. It flows. All right? So for our third one, there's our blood. We're going to use honey. Okay, this is honey. Honey is a very concentrated form of sugar. Our friends the bees made it for us. All right, so I'm going to add the honey. This is just over 150 milliliters. I'm going to try to add 100 milliliters of honey into the water here. Maybe I'll add it all. It is thick. That is thick, gooey stuff there. All right, good enough. I do not want to make a mess with that. Okay, I'm going to stir it around. Wow. Okay. Let's see what happens. There's a bit of honey still at the bottom, but let's see what happens. All right, so this is the water that's floating atop. It didn't mix that well. This is still the water that's sitting on top. The honey's all on the bottom. It is definitely flowing thick, but it's still not into the honey yet. Here we go. There we go. That is the honey mixed with the blood. It is just sitting there as the honey slowly oozes through. The honey and blood mix does not flow very easily through tight capillaries. So you can imagine when your blood gets very saturated with glucose, with all these sugars, it is not going to create a fluid that is going to flow very easily through tight blood vessels and vasculatures. So it is not going to be carrying nutrients to places that are hard to reach, like eyeballs, your brain, your legs. You see that? It does not flow. It flowed out of the glass decently, but once it gets constricted, it sits there. All right, good. So now imagine you have somebody who does not have good sugar regulation in their body. They don't have enough hormones to regulate the levels of sugar. Let's call this a diabetic. Their blood maintains a high level of glucose. It creates a very syrupy, very thick, gooey liquid that does not travel through vasculature very well. Let's say they have already existing clogged pipes, which create this slalom in their blood vessels. That's not going to flow very easily through them. So I think the point is pretty clear. Oil, yeah, it's slower than water, but it still flows smoothly. Sugar does not, okay? The sugar gets stopped up and doesn't quite clog, but it does not flow easily. So it is not going to reach the vasculature it needs to go to. All right, so I hope you guys enjoyed that little demonstration there. And take from that what you will. It's all in the name of science. Enjoy.